You're listening to Kizuki, the podcast. I'm Mae Yoshikawa, and I define the Japanese concept of kizuki as the following. Kizuki. 1. A moment of epiphany, an aha of realization or insight which opens the knower to a new dimension of truth that was formerly unknown. 2. Steps in an incremental growth of awareness, resulting in a movement from ignorance to greater awareness of the bigger picture. A kind of knowing that cannot be undone, that cannot be unrealized. As a longtime yoga and meditation practitioner, a world traveler, and curious self-explorer, I'm obsessed with kizukis. Listen on each week for inspiring and enlightening stories that may just tip you over for your next aha. On this week's episode, clarity and the weight of empathic guilt. Hi everyone. Today, once again, I want to dive in to a topic that very often is difficult to iterate, but I know the challenge is real, and I know that it's not just my challenge, but something that many people have in common, because many of my students over the years, especially as a yoga teacher and around the meditation community as well, have asked me similar questions about it. So let's open the scene by remembering a time where you may have been in a situation where someone you love or care about, perhaps your family or a close friend, seems to be stuck in a loop of confusion or maybe avoidance. Maybe they're drinkers, or maybe they have a way of numbing their pain or their lessons. And you, as a yoga practitioner or as a meditator or someone who is keen on conscious living and mindfulness, are someone who prefers to live with eyes wide open. Meaning, you have been in a habit and practice of cultivating your sense of clarity, seeing clearly, facing what you need to face, doing what you need to do, and opening the can of worms that you wish you could avoid, but you know you can't. So you might as well just open it and deal with it one by one. But at the same time, perhaps one of your close friends or someone living with you or someone close to you can be stuck in a habit of not really looking at their life, this loop of avoidance. This creates tremendous tension within because you love them, you care for them, and you want to tell them, hey, it's hard work, yes, but there is a way to live with your eyes wide open and face the things that are in front of you and to learn from them. It's not an easy path, but you can do it because I have done it too. And yet, this kind of attitude kind of comes along with a tendency, a nuance of, well, you're fixable and you can be fixed. Don't you want to be fixed? And more often than not, it just doesn't fare well with your loved one because they're like, well, no, thank you, for one. And it comes across as being rather entitled, like, who are you to tell me what to do or how to live my life? And so we pull back from the tension. At times it can create a gap or a kind of hurtful going back and forth. So it's very difficult to make peace with such tension. So today, I want to talk about how to stand firm in your clarity while at the same time releasing the guilt of, well, essentially, it's not really our job to help someone or to save someone, even if it comes from best intentions. And that while it may initially sound or even feel cold, that this is an essential step in truly embodying your next level sovereignty. Now, when I talk to my students, I often refer back, oh gosh, this is like 20 years ago when I first started yoga. Yoga just really wasn't a thing in Japan. It wasn't popular at all. You know, people, if anything, feared that it might be a little cultish or weird or scary. But I got so heavily into it so early on. I started traveling to South India and not only doing the physical asana practice, but I started changing my diet and chanting Sanskrit mantras and all of these things. And I remember in those early days, my dad worried about me. He was like, "Are you okay, Mae?" Because there was a part of him that knew how much I was suffering because I started yoga at an extremely low point in my life. And he worried that I was, just going way out of left field and becoming someone that he didn't understand. And this was hurtful for me because if anything, it was changing my life for the better. It was making me healthier. I felt better. I was sleeping better. I was a lot less depressed. And if anything, I wished he would try it. I invited him once to this demonstration event where my teacher and another yoga friend, the three of us, were doing like a mini yoga asana demonstration of vinyasa flow. So flowing from one asana into the next with continuous breathing. And I invited my dad because I just wanted him to see what the yoga is and hopefully reassure him that it's not some scary thing. He came and watched our yoga demonstration, and on our way home, he said to me, "Why would you do something like that? You're torturing yourself." And I wasn't even taking such extreme asanas, but I could understand that to him, the deep twists and, some of the postures that I was taking looked like it could be very, very uncomfortable. And this discrepancy, this tension, because I love him and he loved me, it was very difficult to accept that we couldn't understand each other. And it took me years to gain a new perspective on this. And actually, now in hindsight, some 10 plus years after that, he took interest in yoga and he allowed me to teach him. And he actually started a daily practice, which he keeps up like 3 to 4 times a week to this day, which says a lot about how much he's changed. But for the first 10 years or so, there was just this enormous gap of misunderstanding. And I wanted so much for him to get it because I knew how good the yoga and the breathing and some of these practices were for holistic health. And although it was painful then, all I could do was just to agree to disagree, basically, to accept that he doesn't get it, at least not now, and just be okay with it. And I don't know if back then I thought one day he might get it, but I at least was able to let it go and just give it the space and time to flow in whatever way it would flow. Some of my students, similarly, when they start their meditation practice or yoga practice and it really begins to change them and their lifestyle in a positive way, it can temporarily create a discrepancy between their partner or their kids where their day-to-day household life and rhythm haven't changed. But within the practitioner, it's changed so dramatically. And naturally, because it's changed for the better, the inclination is to say, "Oh, you should try this too. You should really try this too. It's really, really good for you." But for the other people, they're like, no thanks. It's none of my business, and it's none of your business to tell me what to do. Again, tension. I say to my students, hey, think about a field of flowers before spring comes, and there's like hundreds of thousands of buds tightly in this field, this just brimming with the hope of we're about to bloom. But until that moment when they begin to open, they are tightly put, each one of them, in a bud. And imagine if somehow, because of the way the sun shone one day or the way the winds were, one or two or three or four, a few of the buds begin to open just a little bit earlier than some of the other ones. But imagine if the ones that started to open a little bit sooner turned around and said to the close, tight buds, hey, you should open too. You should do this and you should do that and you should open quickly too. And so if there's any nudging or foreign probing and prodding from an external force, you know what happens to that bud? It closes even tighter because it perceives it as a threat to their own becoming. Ouch. In other words, mind your own business, and sometimes your best of intentions for the people that you love most, it doesn't necessarily fare well. So one key realization about coming to clarity or your next kizuki, the next level of awareness that you're rising to, it's not something that you can hand to someone, and it's not yours to give it to anyone. It's yours to say thank you when you receive it and when it comes to you, but it's not yours to shove it in someone's face. On each of our own paths, especially if we are practicing mindfulness and practicing meditation and practicing yoga and these such things for the purpose of cultivating awareness, it can easily feel like you've been earning it through your practice, which to an extent, of course, it's true because you are cultivating an environment where it's conducive to such growth of awareness. Again, that is each individual's choice, and it's not up to us to be a missionary of some kind of religion or belief that says, hey, we should all cultivate awareness. Because the should in that distorts the good intention of conscious living. Now, that's to reaffirm that your clarity is for you. My kizuki is for me. I receive it with gratitude. And if others don't understand it, it doesn't diminish my awareness. Okay, close point, but another angle we have to talk about is empathic guilt. I started noticing this in me much more recently. But see, as an empath and as someone who cares deeply for others, and especially for your loved ones and your friends, right? If you are cultivating this conscious awareness, this next kizuki, and you are enjoying the benefits of your increasing clarity, but if the person next to you is squirming in avoidance or confusion or murkiness, and they seem to be asking for your help, but every time you try to convey clarity to them, it's not really received well because, again, from their perspective, it might seem or feel like you're trying to fix them and it just doesn't carry over well. So, see, there's this dynamic going on of you are so empathic, you are so in tune with your loved one that it's easy to feel like you're somewhat responsible for soothing their confusion or the discomfort that they're talking about. But here's where it gets a little tricky, and you're asked for your next level of clarity, because trying to fix others' lack of clarity actually isn't helping them. It just pulls you out of your own center. And at the same time, even if you were temporarily able to soothe their confusion, it doesn't ultimately help them, because it doesn't help them to cultivate their own clarity, their own sovereignty that's rooted in their center. Does that make sense? And here, especially if you're talking about a loved one or someone really close to you, if you really tune into that feeling of, oh, I feel bad for her, I feel bad for him, he's so confused, or he's like in so much avoidance, I wish I can help him or her. I wish I can help pull them out of it. See, you got to really watch for that, because that's actually you stepping out of your power. That is not you giving your power. It's you stepping out of your power. And so the flip side of the same coin says that it's not selfish for you to remain in your center, to withhold in your sovereignty and knowing, and let the other person temporarily suffer through their avoidance and through their confusion. And what is the best gift you can give them is to trust that just like you figured out your way in your own divine timing, that person too, in their own time, will come to their kizuki, to their realization, and to learn the lessons they need to learn to find their center. I hope that reaches you. This is something that's like, I feel like it's just not spoken about often enough, because so many people let their loved ones become a reason for them to lose their balance because of this empathy dynamic and this subtle sense of empathic guilt, or of I wish or I should be able to help them. So here, let us come home to ourselves, come back to our center, and end with a powerful reframe. My clarity is mine. My first duty, purpose, is to stay in my center. I release the need to react to others' confusion, even when it's my loved ones and friends and family. I stand steady in my truth, and my truth will eventually light the way for others too. I hope that helps. If this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to share this episode or tag me on social media and tell me about your kizuki moment. Thank you for listening. Learn more about me and my Kizuki journaling Mae method at my website, kizukijournaling.com. That's KIZUKIJOURNALING.com. Or find me on Instagram at MaeYoshikawa.